Welcome to the Jeju Island long race. This is off of South Korea, where I currently reside, so it's sort of like my home regatta. And it's around the island to the mark on the south. A quick look at windy here to see that the winds don't change that much at all. We didn't notice any wind shadow effects, and I don't think it dropped off that much anyway during the whole race in hindsight. So we'll get on to the start in a moment, and there's Banana Slug, Pacific Tangent, my nemesis for the last couple of races. And I'm getting a little bit of lagging. I had just reset my computer, so I was a little bit late for the start. And as usual, I'll just show you my approach. I have a code O on, which means that it's kind of hard to maneuver when I start to get into some low TWA, AWA. But as you'll see, I need the code O when I'm for this beam run. So yeah, you can see that I've really slowed up here, trying to get to the line. So this is one of my starts, which I'm not that proud of. I do eventually crawl there. Just trying to get a little bit more boat speed. And there goes the boom. And I'm going to be 7 or 8 seconds late. Well, probably 10 seconds late. Not one of my best. Anyway, so on to the first leg, where we need to go in a southerly direction. You can see that as I cut to the next scene, I'm leeward and getting quite a lot of wind effects from Practical Tangent on my side there. Monk decides to go past us all, sweeping past. And you can see all the pretty boats. Very, very nice. Start of the race is always probably my favorite in some ways. And then the next cut, we will be coming close to the first mark, and then having to change to a Jenica. Probably didn't give as much room as I should here, and I don't really like, I don't actually touch anybody. I come through, but then I should have bared away a little bit more. And so when you see Monk come through me in a moment, really not his fault, because I parked the bus a little bit. So that's the first turn. For the next couple of hours, Monk, Practical Tangent, Pacific Sea Cow, Matt, and quite a few of us all dueled it out on the way down. And you can just see that I'm going through where everybody is here. I decide to take the shallow approach, as I usually do. And Practical and I basically keep the same sort of distance for a long period of this southerly route. And you can see that most of us are going to the west side of the island, but we do have Yakko and Chris going on the easterly route. Down to the bottom of the island now, and Pacific is behind me. See Monk and Sunburn all spread out, and just in front of me there is still Practical. He's about to go offline, and much to my annoyance, his offline ability was just as good as mine, if not better. Even though I was AFK for quite long periods of this race, especially in these sort of legs where I could just keep one one bearing to the wind. And then finally we get to the halfway mark, and you can see that Pacific Sea Cow has just come back online. She was asleep for a couple of hours, and just to do the turn. There were some bugs in this race, but you can see my bug report if you want to in the forum. And me turning around the mark. Practical is still offline, and did a very, very good approach and a very, very good turn of the mark. Meanwhile, Practical and Pacific and myself did most of this downwind together. I eventually caught both of them, with both of them offline. And although Pacific Sea Cow at the moment is online, we'll go offline fairly quickly. And just a little bit further on, as I show us passing one of the boats coming in the other direction. It's always a nice moment saying hello. And unfortunately, Pacific Sea Cow did go offline just after this, and lost a lot of time to me and to Practical. So as the sun goes down and another boat passes by, we settle in for the long race back. As you can see, I'm neck and neck with those two other guys. As we make the turn here, I've extended that a little bit further, both of them being offline. And they seem to have trouble making the turn. It takes a long time for the map to update. And as you'll see in the next sort of sequence, Pacific Sea Cow loses a whole heap of time with Monk and Sunburn coming back to challenge. The funny thing is that Practical Tangent didn't have the same problems, even though both of them were going in the same direction. Practical could maintain a good speed. Seemed like was probably on a Jenica or maybe a Kodo. Whereas when Pacific came back online, informed us that was on a Jenica and only running at about 4 or 5 knots. So I have a little sneaking suspicion that Kodo is not working very well with auto helm. Pacific comes back in the end, and kudos, because it took a lot of seamanship to come back from that position and still rank fairly high. So this is kind of a long sequence of just showing how far behind they are, and that I'm extending my lead as we go in a northwesterly direction. Monk and Sunburn and Matt and Peter Gregg all making the turn all about the same time down here, and they sort of bunch up towards the end as well. So as we get to the 9-hour 40-minute mark, or close to, still a couple of hours to go. Finally, we get around the bulge in the island, and it's going to be a hard tacking match up. I try to keep to windward as much as possible. Practical, who is still offline, came online for a little bit and adjusted his course and then went back to bed, and was still in the hunt, although losing time to me. Was about 2 nautical miles behind at this stage. And we can see that on the other side of the island there's some guys that have gone around there. They didn't fare so well, unfortunately. I thought at one stage that they had a good chance, but didn't make up the time as much as I thought. I eventually come around the east side of that island, and just down here I'm showing that Practical, although he had some very good auto-helming in this last bit here, beaches himself, so not so good on the auto-helm there. And then the last moments of the race here, where I am finally coming across the line. As you all know, I only record races that I win, haha. And once again, very lucky to be in the right time zone for this. I could stay up throughout the day, just checking from time to time what was going on, and that gave me a slight advantage over some of the other competitors. So there we go, and I'll just give you the race results from the next morning, and you can see that Pacific clawed the way back into second place. Sunburn, Monk, Peter Gregg, Parax, Ben East. Parax was actually on the east side of the course there, so kind of interesting. And then the last shot, which was just looking at the moonshine, and nice way to finish. Anyway, thank you very much.